In April and May of 1940, the German military began a massive invasion of the European Low Countries and Norway with the goal of occupying them for their resources and vital links to the German military's trade routes. In Norway, one such town was Narvik, which was a vital link in the transportation of iron ore from Sweden to the German war machine. Since the Narvik ports did not ice over in the wintertime, the town was seen as vital to not only the Germans, but also the British, who realized this, and as such tried to prevent the town's capture by sending in their own fleet to deal with the Germans. Now, while Narvik saw 3 different battles, 2 sea and 1 land, today I'm only going to be talking about the general in charge of the land battle for the Germans. Hello everyone, and welcome to my second video on Who's Who in World War II. As always, I'm Christopher, the video game historian, and today I'm going to talk about General Eduard Dietl of the German army, who led his men in capturing and securing the town of Narvik in April of 1940. Born in Bad Aibling in the Kingdom of Bavaria on July 21st, 1890, Eduard Dietl would go on to join the military just after his 19th birthday in October 1909. He would be assigned to the 5th Infantry Regiment of the Bavarian Army, where he would fight during World War I. Despite being wounded twice on the Western Front, he would distinguish himself as a leader in how he led his men as a second lieutenant and for his bravery. When the war was over, he would continue to serve the German army during the Weimar Republic years, where he was promoted to Major General. During the interwar years as well, Dietl would also be convinced of the Nazi ideology and join the party, where he would become a key figure in the party at Munich. When World War II broke out, Dietl would be placed in command of the German 3rd Mountain Division, where he oversaw them during the invasion of Poland, as well as during the invasion of Norway in April of 1940. During the second invasion, Dietl and his men would be transported to Narvik via the Ofotsfjord on one of 10 destroyers in order to secure the town. Upon his arrival, he would disembark and meet with Colonel Konrad Sundloo of the Norwegian forces, convincing him to relinquish the town to him and his men, which he did without a fight. With the town securely in German hands, Dietl and his men, along with the 5 destroyers, would stay behind to occupy the town, while the remaining 5 split up, with 2 going west towards Ballingenfjord, while the remaining 3 headed north towards Herjolfsfjord. The same day that Dietl and the Germans took over Narvik, the British, with a fleet of 5 destroyers, were on their way towards the town in hopes of preventing its capture. When Captain Warburton Lee of the British fleet realized that the Germans already had the town, he called in for reinforcements before pressing on to engage the Germans, hoping to deal a blow to the occupational force. Lee and his men managed to destroy 2 of the 5 destroyers docked in port before the remaining 5 German destroyers circled back around to reinforce Dietl, as well as blocking off the harbor from the sea, trapping the British fleet. The German fleet managed to sink 3 of the British destroyers and killing Warburton Lee in the process. The remaining 2 managed to escape from the harbor and back out into the open sea, while relaying the information about Narvik back to command. On April 13th, the Second Battle of Narvik would kick off when the British sent in their warship, the HMS Warspite, and 9 destroyers into the harbor. The Warspite managed to destroy 1 of the destroyers sitting in the harbor, while the rest of the British fleet managed to make progress of their own. This attack would force the remaining German troops and sailors off their ships and flee into the town, where they destroyed their fleet in the process. The Germans now had a land force of around 5,600 soldiers, and despite being outnumbered by the Norwegian forces and badly supplied, still managed to hold off the Nordic troops. The next day, on April 14th, the British would begin to debate on how best to take over the town, before finally settling on an amphibious invasion, led by the French Foreign Legion. However, this would not take place until a month later on May 13th. Within that time, the Germans were managing to hold off the Norwegians as well as fortify the town. When the assault launched, the British saw quick success as the Foreign Legion saw minimal casualties in the invasion and were able to quickly take the town of Björkvik. On May 28th, the British forces would finally assault the town of Narvik. Dietl and his men would push a counterattack, but were forced to withdraw and retreat into the mountains surrounding the town, and leaving the British to successfully capture and occupy Narvik. Despite this failure to keep the town secured, Dietl knew that it wouldn't be long before the British had to abandon their own efforts, as German victories were sweeping across Europe, especially on the Franco-Belgian border. By June, the British were forced to evacuate Narvik as they did not have the manpower to hold it securely and were needed elsewhere in Europe. With this, Dietl and his men would sweep back down, reclaiming the town for the Germans and holding it until 1945. Dietl's actions at Narvik would go on to decorate him as the Hero of the Snow and be the first to be awarded the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross Award on June 19, 1940. The men he was in command of always held great respect for Dietl, and even Adolf Hitler would see him as one of his favorite generals. He would eventually be promoted to the rank of Colonel General, under which he was given command of the 20th Mountain Army, which saw action under Operation Silver Fox, which targeted Russian railroads and ports to the east of Finland. Though it was successful at the start, the operation would come to a halt by September as the soldiers were bogged down by the harsh and unfamiliar terrain. Eduard Dietl would not live to see the end of the war, however, as in June of 1944, he, along with 7 other passengers, would be killed in an aircraft crash just out of Rettenegg, Austria, when the U-52 aircraft came crashing down, killing all aboard. Now that's all I have on Eduard Dietl, the man who secured Narvik for the Germans. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media with Facebook and Twitter, and until next time, I'll see you all on the battlefield.